As a reminder, Peak to Peak will be making our decision on or before December 4th regarding the third quarter, which will begin when we return from the winter holiday. Returning to in-person learning is our ultimate goal. We're working towards a model that reasonably accomplishes that goal for the most number of students given the constraints of our program and our facility. From the beginning, stability was a priority in the design of our pandemic response, right behind health and safety, of course. The shift to remote learning last spring was a shock to our system, and particularly hard on students and families. It's been our intention to avoid the trauma of shifting back and forth, in and out, on and off, that's inevitable with an in-person learning experience during a pandemic. Mandatory quarantines, often driven by forces out of our control, directly impact the stability of our program. We want our teachers to be able to focus their time and efforts without worrying about whether or not everything's going to flip on a dime. That's why we chose to make decisions quarterly. We believe that thus far that strategy has brought stability during a time when the world around us seems to change overnight. We also prioritize stability across our K-12. Families have students at different grade levels, and an aligned K-12 plan takes this into account. Wherever possible, we've tried to ensure that families could depend on a predictable experience, regardless of how many students they have or their grade levels. Ensuring stability to the greatest extent possible was a major factor in the decision to remain in our distance learning model for quarter 2. We've learned a lot since then, and our decision for quarter 3 will be influenced by this growing body of knowledge. We've learned that the virus impacts individuals differently and that age is a factor in the severity of symptoms and transmissibility of COVID-19. We have seen how in-person learning is impacting and succeeding at other schools and can learn from their experiences. We know that small cohorts reduce the level of impact when there's a quarantine, creating more stability for a majority of students. While our classrooms are equipped with the technology needed to support students learning in person and those learning from home simultaneously, we intend to hold true to our high standards of instructional excellence as we explore ways to support students in both settings. At this point in the year, we have a good understanding of the extents and limitations of our staffing, facilities, and program. While it's true that staffing limitations, substitute shortages, and available resources will impact our in-person learning model, it does not preclude it. We are certain that a return to in-person learning means a less stable and less predictable environment, but we understand that this may be a risk that many are willing to take. And we know that there is no one strategy that will ensure safety, but rather there are layers of mitigation strategies, or layers of protection, that will help us move forward. You know what they are: masks, daily screenings, small cohorts, etc. This layering of strategies is the key to a successful in-person learning model. Because each school and each program is different, there is no one foolproof plan. To design the best plan for Peak to Peak, our Safe Return to School Task Force has been examining the mitigation strategies, the research and data behind them, the impact on reducing transmission, and evaluating that information against our school's response. By turning the dials up on the high-impact strategies and adjusting the dials accordingly on the lower-impact strategies, we're honing in on the right balance to maximize in-person learning and minimize risk. To be clear, returning to in-person learning will have an impact on stability. There will be sudden changes. There will be differences at each school level. There will be staffing reassignments. There will be quarantines, and there will be adjustments. Together, we will all need to shoulder that loss of stability, knowing that the students are receiving the best experience possible. Where we won't compromise, however, is on the health and safety of everyone in our community. The work of the SRS and the forthcoming recommendations are helping to ensure that our risk reduction strategies are targeted for our students, our staff, our buildings, and our program. The work of this task force will inform our plan in an ongoing manner so that we can step forward with confidence, knowing that we're doing the very best for Peak to Peak's unique community.